Welcome to the Lockdown Economy, a social nonprofit initiative by think tank AlterContacts to help small businesses and self-employed professionals overcome the challenges of the pandemic and reactivate the economy. Good day, everyone. My name is Maisa Sarkis, and I'm a host for businesses from around the world. This time, it's a business in Netherlands, but we're gonna go into details about that. My guest today is Simone Punzi, and he's the co-founder of Chilled Winston. Hello, Simone. How are you?
Hi, it's nice to meet you. Like you said in the email, nice to meet you as well.
Correct. We are now virtually seeing each other and having the discussions. And today we're going to talk about your business. So tell us, what do you do?
Yeah, so I started just before the lockdown, actually, before COVID came in. I started a film production company with one of my close friends. And the reason being that I came from a very academic background, and I wasn't really looking to be another cog in the wheel, if that makes sense. I really wanted to kind of create my ideal job, and that involved, moving around a lot, getting to do lots of different projects, and experiencing new cultures. And so we made this film production company. In November 2019 is when we started. So just before the first few cases of COVID came out. So it was great timing. But yeah, so we make films all around Europe right now. For most of the clients are in the Netherlands. So most of our first work was with universities, and we made some promotional material for them. And then it kind of branched out into tourism, which was also hit pretty hard by the pandemic. So we were in northern Italy for a little while, in Munich. Then now we're gonna moving to Spain soon. But yeah, so we make films for all kinds of companies, whether it's for an academic paper or for a university, just as well as for instance, the people I'm working for now who make bulletproof glass. So that's a bit more of a fun project where we get to show the resistance of it. But yeah, pretty much movies, and we try to inject every movie that we make with this kind of with a human element. So I guess what we're trying to fight in some ways, this picture perfect advertising that you see online. Everything is always perfectly lit. Everyone has the right amount of makeup and all this. And what we try to do is, to try and get through that. So to get these kind of authentic moments from people, and then use that as the main selling point of, the companies or the universities, wherever we're working. But yeah, that's the long story short.
Well, what I have heard, and I've checked also your website, that your video related are basically to access a creative mind and manage the project end to end. So I've seen also some photos, and as you mentioned, you capture moments that are not filtered, or they are authentic and genuine as they are. And when you mentioned that you work internationally in Europe, that means traveling to work on a project, and the pandemic and the lockdown happened. And we were forced in restrictions in the beginning of 2020. So how did the lockdown and the pandemic affect your business, especially if you want to go and meet the client and work with him face to face?
Yeah, so I guess the main thing was really the crossing the borders and making sure you quarantine, and I mean also filming. You usually require a lot of people there in order to make it happen. But we've kind of found a way to minimize contact. Always have the distance, no matter what masks are used. We had to incorporate a whole document of all the procedures we would take. Luckily, my brother is a doctor, so I ask him all the questions of what to do. But yeah, so it's definitely changed our mode of working. It's also a shame that we don't get to meet in person with the people we work with, because in order to get that authentic message, you actually need to be there. It's a bit hard to do via Zoom. But then on a more practical side, it's definitely, like you mentioned, the moving around. So like a project, like I was saying earlier, that maybe takes me a week, now takes me 2 weeks, because I have to factor in, the 5 days, 10 days of quarantining, and then 5 days with a negative test. And that's a whole, process that you have to go through every time. luckily Germany has a relatively free tests, and I'm still signed up here, so that's a good thing. But yeah, so the costs as well kind of go up because you have to think about these things. Sorry about that. And yeah, I mean, in general, the budgets of companies, because of the lockdown economy of the lockdown, have kind of been frozen in a way. So they really focus on making sure that they get to the end, which makes sense. And so since our product is a little bit more of a niche type thing, it's not always needed. But at the same time, with a world behind computers, I don't see a bigger need for videos than now, because we're all sitting behind this aesthetic kind of screen where you're constantly presented with these picture perfect things. But yeah, I mean, it's going. I'm not going to lie. We did have 3 or 4 months where there were no clients, and that was hard sometimes. But now things are picking up again, so that's a good thing. And yeah, I guess hopefully, so without going too much into detail, because you're going to ask me about it in a second. But hopefully we'll be in Spain in a month as well, where we have a 10-week project, and I'm really looking forward to that.
So there are things that worked and didn't work when you were traveling. And you said that in the beginning there were no clients. I'm interested to know, and everyone also would like to hear the story behind what are the methods, or what have you thought of changing or introducing in the business aspect to make it happen, and what are the lessons that you have learned and you just modified and said, okay, I will drop it and go for another route?
Yeah, so a lot of what we've done has been really learned by doing. We didn't really have like set methods in store that we would go back to and use. So every client we work with, every project is very unique. And I mean, on top of that, you have to deal with the different cultures, right? So it's not like you're going to talk to a German client exactly the same way as you might talk to a Dutch or an Italian client. So having to place yourself within this context has been extremely fun and interesting, but then to work with all the government regulations around that is also, it's not just one country you have to pay attention to, it's 5 or 6, which is a lot of extra work. But I guess what we kind of realized is, instead of really waiting for people to hire us to make work, we just started producing work. So we also started doing some interviews. We call them a one-drop talk. Where we try to bring this kind of human element out in people that I mentioned, and then just filming things wherever we were. So like I might be in northern Italy for a client, but the Dolomites are there, so you make a video of the Dolomites. Now we're going to Spain, like I said, soon. So on top of working for these clients, I'm already looking for other things that I could do while I'm there. So that's definitely been nice to kind of not worry too much about whether the clients are there, but just worry about making sure that your product is good and that you like what you're making. So that's the lockdown, I think, has kind of forced us to focus more on what we want to do, as opposed to what the clients want, I guess. Obviously the client is always right at the end of the day, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be the main thing. And then as well, I mean, the isolating, right? So we're lucky neither of us have gotten COVID, but it's really, if one of us did, then we would be, the company would shut down, right? And at the same time, if I go into an office or if I go to a company and I'm the one who brings it in, that's horrible. There goes the client, there goes the project. And since I have to go to a place for a project, it's really risky in a way to make sure that everything is safe. So like if I go to Spain now and I book my accommodation for 2 months and then I get COVID and I can't work, it would be a problem. So really factoring those things in has been a struggle, but at the same time, it gives you some time to be with yourself, which is also good. And in March, actually, just as the first lockdown hit, I got a dog from Greece, which was great, and she's been with us, so that's definitely been helpful.
Well, you've mentioned many important elements when it comes to manage a business and also maintain your well-being, because they go both together. So managing a business, especially in the new normal, you need to showcase the product, regardless whether you have a client or not, and show what you really do. And there are many ways to show that. And the digital world was our biggest ally, and it helped us a lot to be present. And having also taking care of your well-being goes in parallel. You cannot neglect one and focus on another because your business depends on it. And when we talk about also the well-being, do you know how your customers and the competition are doing? Especially that everyone is in the same boat, more or less.
Yeah. So the customers, I think it really depends which customers. So we have a lot of different types of people, but I mean, universities are really hit quite hard by the lockdown. So students can't go to uni, they can't really see the university, or they're stuck behind a screen. And if you've been in a classroom, it's horrible to sit there with 30 students and try and keep everybody motivated when every other thing is trying to grab your attention. So that has been definitely also part of the work that we do is to try and re-engage these people and to keep them paying attention and to kind of provide a way to, not see this lockdown as the end of the world in a way. But I guess when I think of my clients, at least most of them seem to, they've still managed to get to the end. I mean, these are large institutions as well that are funded by the government. Mm-hmm. But if I look at my competition, I guess there it's so we're very different in a way because I don't have an office. I don't have an address per se. I mean, yes, I have an address where I'm signed up, but I don't have a place to retreat to if something happens. And so I guess that's maybe the main difference that I notice is that, okay, they get to stay inside in their offices and their studios and they can still produce what they want to produce. But the struggle for them, what I think is the problem is getting people in. So getting people to come to them because now they're very limited to one place. And if people around you are in lockdown, it's not like you can go, okay, you're in lockdown, then I'll go to Spain and work there for a few months. And I guess that's where our USP, if you will, is that if we can drive there, we can film there. That's kind of what we say. And so all of my stuff, all of the film equipment, everything I own, my instruments, guitar, saxophone, the dog, it all fits in a van. And then, based on where we're working, we just unload and, move in every time. So it's a, like you said, it's a trade-off in a way, but I'm also a big fan, like I said, of traveling and meeting new people and exploring new cultures. So the struggle of it is also met by the excitement of being somewhere new. So, yeah.
It's true. That's what, when I said in the beginning, introducing where the business based, although the business is based in Netherlands, you are present in Europe and you go to your clients. So this is a very aligned to your vision to operate one day worldwide. So that's what makes the business different. And it's because you are the one who's making it happen. And when we talk about the business, how is it doing now, Chilled Winston? And what are the plans for the coming few months?
Yeah, so like I said, we had a period of about 3.5 months where we didn't have any work. So we were really focusing on what is it that we want to do? Why are we doing this? What's the point? Should we just get a job? But things now have been picking up again. So the last month and a half has been almost too much, which is a nice change. But a bit more concretely, I guess, we're working with some larger companies. So like I said, there's one that makes this bulletproof glass. And I'm really excited for those videos because they're really creative. So we have to come up with ways to show, why this glass is the best one. And, you get to shoot at it. You get to try and blow it up or drop a bowling ball on it. And these are really cool things to film. And then at the same time, there's a Wi-Fi provider who needs help showcasing their product. And then, like I said, the big thing coming up is we have a 10-week project in Granada in Spain. And that's with this International Space University. So they bring together all these experts in the space world, so like outer space, whether it's lawyers or engineers or pilots, and they talk about the future of space. And they've kind of tasked us with capturing this 10-week event and showing, why it's important that we talk about these things and whatnot. So that's all really, really exciting. So business-wise, it's going better. And then from a personal standpoint, I guess, like I said, the lockdown has kind of forced us to reevaluate what you want to do. So I know I don't want to make advertisements for big companies my whole life. That's not the plan. It's a way to pay the bills for sure, and I enjoy doing it. But my heart, I guess, it lies in what I studied. So my master's degree was in development studies, which is in some way like a way of poverty alleviation, figuring out how to work with NGOs and with governments to kind of create something fair for everyone, where people don't have to starve and aren't excluded from the system. And so the big kind of project on that side is I'm working towards a documentary in Tanzania. So I have a contact that I've been in touch with quite a lot down in the Maasai land. And yeah, I've been telling him for 6 months now, almost, like, I'm coming to see you. As soon as I get my vaccine, I'm coming. And the plan there is really to make a documentary about the Maasai way of life, and to, share that with the world, because I think there's a lot of messages that we can take from these indigenous groups that we kind of lost track of, whether it's that community feel or, living with nature and not abusing it for our own benefits or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. I'll see what happens when it comes up. But that's something really exciting. So hopefully by February or March next year, I'm hoping to be in Tanzania for about 3 to 6 months, working on the documentary. So
that's fantastic. I'm looking forward to see how the project will take light. I can understand it's a human-centric project and has also different perspective. Get to your business or the project that you are working on. The audience, we can promise the audience that they will see relatable stories and very authentic and real. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, thank you.
For going back to the business, Chilled Winston, for it to take different light and step up, for example, can you tell us 3 things or more you need help with?
Yeah, so that's always the tough one, things that you need help with, because it really depends on the moment in time. Like, it can range from, I need more legal advice because I'm working with copyrighted material and whatnot. And I also don't want people to take my stuff and then use it for their own profit. And then it also to the side of sales, obviously, that's the biggest one, is having, recurring work, recurring clients, not that you have work for 6 months and then nothing for 3 months. But we're trying to tackle those ourselves as well. So we hired a guy in the UK, a really wonderful, also very human-oriented guy, part-time, and he's kind of helping us with the sales side of things and calling up contacts and talking to them. But always that is finding more contracts around the world ideally, but around Europe for now. And then, this hopefully the COVID, relaxes a little bit, so I don't have to add a week to every one of my projects, and I don't have to quarantine. I guess the vaccine would help with that as well. But yeah, the main thing is really finding people who have a story that they want to share and they want to tell. And yeah, I mean, those usually make the best stories. You don't want to force people to, take things out that they don't want to talk about. But you want to create the environment where they feel completely okay to talk about those stories. And that's, I guess, what we're aiming for.
So true. You need to have a welcoming environment and a safe environment where people would express their thoughts, and you capture that and you show it. Thank you so much for sharing today the best, maybe, or the practices that we can consider the best that work for your business to move on. Knowing that it started right before a pandemic and you were able to adapt to the given situation and put in it what you like, what you really liked, working with clients internationally and with different projects. So that's the core of your business. Thank you so much, Simone. If you'd like to add anything before we wrap up, and that would be that. That will be the ending of our interview.
Yeah, no, thank you as well for, I guess I don't want to add anything specific other than maybe for people from my generation, one of the struggles is really believing in yourself. And we always look for somebody else to give us the answer, or, a job or a relationship or whatever. But I think that's something that I'm increasingly understanding that nobody can really give me what I want more than I can, you know. So focus on that, I guess. I hope everybody does, and good things will happen, even if it's hard sometimes. It's always worth it. And yeah, thank you as well to you guys and to Massimo. He's the guy who asked me to, you know, do this interview and talk to you. And it's, yeah, I see the value in it. It's really nice to see that someone is listening, you know, someone is there that wants to understand what's happening and wants to give a helping hand. So thank you as well.
Well, it's our pleasure. Together we can make things different. And we are here as a small businesses or micro businesses to support each other in the new normal. And it doesn't happen by one person. Or it's been a pleasure to have you. And everyone who would like to reach to Simone, check the descriptions. I've added all the links for you. I invite you to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned. We have many more insights from many different countries and business sectors. Have a look. And for now, bye-bye.